Did you like Rogue One?
An answer you seek? That answer is no.
Well, what do you know? Maybe I'm not in the minority. Very funny. Hey guys, welcome back to another film review by The Clumsy Jedi. I know I said I'd do it last night, and I did, but I was way too exhausted to think clearly. So, here we go. Here's my spoiler-free review of Rogue One. Of course, this is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It came out yesterday, officially world premiere on the 10th, but we had wide release in the US yesterday. Was directed by Gareth Edwards and starred Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Ben Mendelsohn, Alan Tudyk, Donnie Yen, Riz Ahmed, Wen Jiang, and Genevieve O'Reilly. The summary of this is pretty obvious. It's about rebels destroying the Death Star, but there's a family drama interwoven with it, specifically of Jyn Erso and her father Galen, who turns out to be the one who designed the Death Star. The Imperials drag him back, and Jyn wants to go find him. Once they find out about the Death Star, they have to grab the plans and figure out a way to destroy the thing, because obviously anything that can annihilate an entire planet, bad news! Without giving anything away, what I liked most about Rogue One, a Star Wars story was, hands down, the third act, specifically the X-Wing battles. Once those X-Wings pop out of hyperspace over that planet and start firing, that's when the movie happens. That's when I was most excited. I was going, yes, yes, yes. When I was sitting in the theater and gonna go, woohoo! It was like riding Star Tours. I just love it! The pilots too, all of them were new, and I immediately liked them. I don't know, maybe I just have a thing for X-Wing pilots. That didn't sound right. Definitely favorite character was Chirrut Imwe. I liked him immediately. It's like they turned around, started talking to him within the first 2 sentences. I'm like, okay, this guy's my favorite character. K2SO, I know he's another character that everybody's talking about, but it's because he's got such a dry sense of humor, and he's also sarcastic, which is new for a droid. Apparently, when you reprogram an Imperial droid, it suddenly makes him sarcastic, which I thought until this point it was impossible for droids to be. What I disliked most about it, the list is quite long, and I'm not going to go into all of it here because unfortunately that would be a spoiler. It was very different. It was so different that for the first literally 30 minutes I was staring at the screen with my face like, I'm thinking in my head literally, what am I watching? Is this really Star Wars? It didn't feel like Star Wars until the X-Wings launched. And another disappointing thing was the score was completely forgettable. I mean, literally. Episode 7, I was walking out of the theater humming certain things like Jedi Steps and Rey's theme. This one, literally nothing stood out. It was basically just background noise. And it didn't sound like Star Wars. It sounded like another sci-fi movie. And the characters, I had no feeling for them. The only one I liked was Chirrut. Family friendly, that's kind of iffy. It does not have anything offensive in it like profanity or skin or even, to my knowledge, blood. But there is quite a bit of action. It's, when they say this puts the war in Star Wars, they're not kidding. It's not gruesome, but it is intense. The body count is very high. There's a lot of people dying. A lot of people caring about other people that are dying. So it's pretty intense. I would watch it yourself before taking any kid under 10 or 11 to it. Now let's get on to the scoring. The story, sadly, maybe it was because it was so predictable in certain ways. Like, you know they were going to get the plans, so the stakes weren't quite as high, but it was fine. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as the other Star Wars movies, so it gives a 7.5 out of 10. The acting, it was sufficient. There were spots, especially, I have to say, I'm sorry to say, with Felicity Jones that seemed kind of one note and flat. So the acting gets an 8 out of 10. Most of it was above average, so that's where it gets that score from. The script, again, mostly above average, but there were bits and pieces in there that were just plain bad, including when Darth Vader tells a joke. I will mention it in my spoiler review, and trust me, this one makes my jokes look good, and mine are popsicle stick quality. So the script's an 8 out of 10. The humor, it wasn't funny. At least in the other Star Wars movies, even in Empire Strikes Back, there were just enough injections of humor to keep it from being a total downer. This one was almost completely a total downer. The only humor came from K2SO. The humor only gets a 6.5 out of 10. The music was one thing that was a major disappointment. It was probably the biggest disappointment of the whole thing. It didn't make me feel anything. They didn't even use past themes for more than 2 seconds until the end credits, and to me, that's almost unforgivable. To be fair, the composer only had 6 weeks, but it shows, and I have to give the music a 7 out of 10. Cinematography was the standout star. There were several shots that were drop-dead gorgeous. Between half and 2/3 of the movie were excellent quality. This guy, Gareth Edwards, I have to give him props. If nothing else, he knows how to compose a scene. Composition, lighting, camera angle, you name it. He's got the camera thing down pat. So the cinematography gets a 9.5 out of 10. That gives Rogue One a Clumsy Jedi final score of 7.7 out of 10. Sadly, yes, it is the lowest score I've ever given any Star Wars movie that was released in the theater. So it breaks my heart to do it, but what are you going to do? Again, this is just my opinion. If you disagree with me, go ahead and post something in the comments, but as always, anything with profanity or abusive language will be deleted. You're free to your opinion, just don't put me down for mine. This is just how I feel about it. If you love it, great. What I love most about Star Wars is how welcoming the community is, and we need to keep it that way. No infighting, no putting other people down. So please don't do this. Please don't do anything to me for disliking Rogue One. Like I said, there were things I really, really liked about it, and it does connect, the last part of it does connect very well with episode 4. Stay tuned because I'm going to be doing my spoiler review as soon as I possibly can, but until then, this is the Clumsy Jedi signing off. Bye, guys!